US military spent billions trying to replace just one machine gun. In 40 years, within 4 different programs, 15 weapon designs have come and gone, and only one of them came on top as the new hegemon. And what you're about to see is 15 different ways good engineering dies when the military can't decide what it needs, bureaucracy stalls everything, and gun companies fight over billions in contracts. And it all started with a single focus goal: to lighten the ammo for the M249 SAW. In 2004, the Pentagon realized that the heaviest thing a machine gunner carries could be the ammunition. So a basic load of 600 rounds for the M249 weighed about 17 pounds just for the bullets. And the gun itself was another 17 pounds. So engineers asked a question that sounds obvious now, but nobody had seriously tried before. So they were like, so what if we just make the ammunition out of plastic instead of brass? And that question launched the Lightweight Small Arms Technologies program that roughly cost the US government over 14 years to be between $50 million and $80 million, with the goal to cut the weight of both the gun and the ammunition by 40% compared to the M249 baseline. The technology they pursued was called cased telescoped ammunition. So instead of a bullet sticking out of a brass shell like normal ammo, the bullet was buried completely inside the propellant, and the whole thing was wrapped in a plastic cylinder instead of a brass shell casing. And this matters because cylinders pack way more efficiently than pointy cartridges. And plus, the plastic doesn't conduct heat like brass does, and the plastic cases acted like insulators, taking heat out of the gun when ejected, instead of soaking into the metal. And this is supposed to keep the chamber much cooler. At the same time, AAI tried to build a version with no case at all, meaning the propellant block would crack from rough handling, and when moisture gets in, it can completely ruin the ammo in the field. But for logistics reasons, this was a failed attempt. The LSAT fired a completely new ammunition design that couldn't work in the M4 rifle, and the Army wasn't willing to split the supply chain for a weapon that only offered just weight savings, because now they wanted to defeat Russian body armor with the latest 2016 fighting doctrine. So while the LSAT engineers were inventing plastic bullets in laboratories that was kind of solving yesterday's problem, gun companies tried to offer the military solutions they could buy right now using conventional ammunition, because these commercial off-the-shelf designs thought they could solve the 249 SAW problem without reinventing the wheel. The first one you may still remember was the Knights Armament LAMG. And this design lineage can be traced back to Eugene Stoner's Stoner 63 mechanics. And the gun featured a constant recoil system that the recoil spring absorbs all the energy completely. The action basically floats inside the gun and produces almost zero muzzle rise. And it was a fairly flat shooting machine gun, lighter than some heavy-barreled rifles, while keeping belt-fed capability. Special Operations Forces tested it extensively, but at the end, the Army never adopted it as a standard replacement. The reason was that it didn't offer a radical leap like the LSAT, and so by this time, instead of buying new guns like the LAMG, the Army spent millions on the M249 Product Improvement Program. And the Government Accountability Office reviews showed that operating and support costs for the aging M249 fleet kept rising and consumed a huge chunk of the small arms budget. So, they kept spending money to maintain 30-year-old receivers instead of investing in new platforms, because the requirements process for a full replacement hadn't solidified around a new caliber yet. While that was going on, the Marines started their own, the Infantry Automatic Rifle Program. So the doctrinal debate came down to a $150 million question, and that was, what is really creating the fire suppression in a firefight? The old doctrine said suppression comes from volume. The noise and impact of hundreds of rounds keeps the enemy's head down, and this requires a belt-fed weapon with a quick-change barrel to manage heat. But the new doctrine said suppression comes from accuracy, because if you can actually hit and kill the enemy with precise fire, they're technically suppressed. So instead of a belt-fed gun, the Marines went with a lightweight magazine-fed weapon. Eventually, the short-stroke HKM-27 got the contract because it already works like a M4 and it can function like a machine gun without overheating. And it's a closed-bolt design for accuracy. But there were 3 other failing designs that were competing for the same contract that you may have forgotten. And one of them was the Ultimax 100, and it used a constant recoil principle, where the bolt never slams into the receiver, so soldiers could fire it full auto from the shoulder and keep every round on target. It was lighter than the M249 and used 100-round drum magazines. However, the Marines rejected it for its open-bolt design, which means hurting first-shot accuracy. The controls were completely different from the M16, and the drum magazines were bulky to reload. The second one was the Colt IAR with a massive aluminum heatsink attached to the barrel. The heatsink would dissipate thermal energy and extend sustained fire without needing a quick-change barrel. But the problem was that the direct impingement gas system dumped hot gas and carbon directly into the receiver to cycle the action. For a rifle, this is fine. But for an automatic weapon firing sustained bursts, dumping carbon and heat into the receiver just wears out the gun faster. And the third one was the SCAR heat-adaptive modular rifle that featured a thermal regulation mechanism that would automatically switch the weapon from closed bolt to open bolt when the chamber temperature reached a critical threshold. So closed bolt for accuracy when the gun is cool, and open bolt for cooling when the gun gets hot. The Marines immediately rejected it simply because the mechanism added significant complexity for the infantry. But the M27 selection ignited a firestorm within the Marine Corps. The Commandant himself, General James Conway, publicly questioned the concept. He said, "I was concerned that at night, the other squad members carrying those additional magazines might be hard-pressed to get the automatic rifleman what he needs. And with the M249, the doctrine of fire suppression means the sound of continuous fire. And that 200-round magazine just does the job." So the Marines argued that replacing a 200-round belt-fed gun with a 30-round magazine-fed rifle reduced the squad's fire superiority and ability to pin down the enemy. And some argued that the M249 was so inaccurate that its 200 rounds were mostly wasted noise, whereas the M27 allowed the gunner to actually kill the target. Okay, by this point, the M27 has largely replaced the M4 and M16 as the primary infantry individual weapon and supplanted the SAW in many squad roles. But it has not completely eliminated the M249 from service. But this adoption isn't cheap. The initial unit cost was around $3,000 with optics, but later dropped to about $1,300 for the bare rifle. And this cost drama all started in 2018, when Congress challenged them on why they gave a sole source contract to a German company for such a large order without letting US manufacturers like Colt or FN compete. The contract was only worth $29.4 million, and the Government Accountability Office upheld the decision. But nothing came close when it comes to spending, until the Small Arms Ammunition Configuration Study was making a point that standard 5.56 may not penetrate modern Russian and Chinese body armor at combat ranges on today's battlefield. They think the 5.56 NATO is becoming obsolete against near-peer threats. And that realization birthed the Next Generation Squad Weapon Program, a program that was most ambitious and extremely expensive. So what does the Army want this time? Based on fighting doctrine shift, the US Army mandated a new 6.8mm caliber to defeat level 4 body armor at extended ranges. But the engineering challenges were to drive a heavy 6.8mm bullet fast enough to penetrate ceramic armor at 600 meters. And it requires chamber pressures exceeding 80,000 psi. So how are they going to make that happen? The NGSW required tank-like pressures in a shoulder-fired weapon. 3 companies submitted radical approaches to managing this pressure and weight. The first was Textron AR with their past LSAT research experience, and they again submitted a cased telescoped belt-fed machine gun using 6.8mm CT polymer ammunition. The ammo was light, but the weapon's feeding system was very complex and bulky, and also involved battery-powered operating mechanisms for timing or fire control integration. The ejection path of the large polymer cases was chaotic and ergonomically poor for the soldier in the field. The big cases flying out the side would hit the shooter or interfere with prone firing positions. The Army found it completely unacceptable and eliminated it and moved on to the next design submission from General Dynamics RM277. So with this one, it's a bullpup design, and it uses true velocity polymer-cased ammunition that can handle 80,000 psi chamber pressure. But the Army was right on the fence about it. The bullpup configuration had the good intention of keeping the overall length short while maximizing barrel length, and the impulse averaging technology to mitigate recoil. But bullpup's action placement is too close to the soldier's ear, with that 80,000 psi blast pressure, and this was a hearing safety concern even with ear protection. In addition, the reload mechanics were awkward, and it couldn't feed a belt if needed to. And the polymer case also created thermal management challenges. Remember from the LSAT section that plastic acts as an insulator? So in a closed-bolt automatic rifle like the RM277, this trapped heat in the barrel. Without an open-bolt design or quick-change barrel system, the gun would overheat faster than a metal case system that ejects heat with each spent brass. So now the Army looks at the Sig XM250, and it has everything that meets the requirement, but it was extremely costly. So to do what other competitors couldn't, Sig Sauer came up with a bimetallic cartridge design featuring a stainless steel base locked to a brass body. The steel base can handle extreme pressure and prevents the case head from rupturing, and the brass body expands to seal the chamber just like normal ammunition. And this allowed Sig to use conventional manufacturing techniques and a standard machine gun action, which reduced technical risk compared to the exotic mechanisms of the competitors. So what were the actual improvements? The first is the feed tray cover opens to the side instead of flipping up. This means you can keep your optic mounted and zeroed while loading the gun. But long story short, Sig Sauer won the NGSW contract in April 2022, represented a seismic shift in defense spending. The weapons and ammunition contract is a 10-year, firm fixed-price deal with a ceiling of $4.5 billion, and the initial delivery order was $20.4 million. In addition, Vortex Optics won a contract with a ceiling of $2.7 billion for the XM157 fire control system. But the controversy didn't just end with performance. As some questioned whether NGSW was even practical, others noticed a bigger problem forming. From the outside looking in, it appears that Sig Sauer now supplies nearly everything, including their newly adopted M17 and 18 service pistol. And that kind of consolidation creates a single point of failure. Let's say if Sig's production line stalls, or the company hits financial trouble. And then the Army's entire small arms pipeline becomes vulnerable, and many other reasons. And you can learn more about the ideas behind the NGSW program in this video.